All right, we're going to show you how to disassemble the that Marlin 39A, how to take it apart, how to clean it, how to put it all back together, what tools you need, and how to go about doing it. Now I got to sit through the intro. Like I said, you don't really need a whole lot of tools. The biggest thing is you have this, it's called a thumb screw. And sometimes these have a way to get just really too tight where you can't use your thumb. What I found is you can use a quarter or a nickel. I'm kind of cheap, so I'm going to use a nickel. You can put that in there, and if that's too tight, you just can't. So what I did is I took my screwdriver, I went down to the old used tools store, and I ground a screwdriver so it matches the profile of that nickel. I can just put that in there. Now I've got my thumb screwdriver. I'll just give that a little loosen. Now we'll just do it with the thumbs the rest of the way. And this is a captured screw, so it's not going to come all the way out. It's just going to get loose. And once that's loose, we're going to put this, we're going to cock the hammer. Then this whole gun's just going to fold. It'll come right apart, just like that. All right. Here's the lever side. And we'll take a look at the receiver side. Now that we have it apart, we're going to take the bolt out. We're just going to push the bolt backward. It's kind of got a little spring pressure to it. It's going to slide all the way back, and you'll see it's going to stop right there where we hit. That's actually our firing pin. Where we get to the firing pin, that's going to stop the bolt from going backward, and we're just going to lift it out. We see that little leg that stopped us, that is actually the firing pin. So we'll just push that up, and there's our firing pin. We can look on the head of this one, and it's a little bit dirty, so we'll have to address that. That'll have to get cleaned up. Next thing we want to look at is that ejector, and this is kind of a cool little operation. I've got just a pick. What I'm going to do is that ejector, it's obviously spring loaded, but what I can do is I can push that all the way in, and I can capture it with this little screw that's right here. So try not to block the camera. We'll push that all the way down. We'll take our little screwdriver. We'll turn this about 90 degrees. If I got that pushed all the way in, we can. And we did not have it pushed all the way in. Might have a little dirt behind it. There we go. There's a 90-degree turn. Now you'll see that ejector is now captured. And if we want to take that out, it's these two screws here, and that would come out as a unit. And we know that that spring is going to be captured inside there, so it's not going to be jumping around on you. We'll get up here at the end of the barrel. You can see we get a lot of carbon buildup. We can pick that out. That's what's coming out of there. So that's where we're gonna spend some of our time, is cleaning right up there. The lever side doesn't really get too dirty because it's back so far behind the firing. You're not getting a lot of powder fouling and stuff like that. Like I said, this half of the gun stays fairly clean, but you can see the moving parts where you'd want to. This one screw we take off the lever, and we can clean all this up and then lubricate it. But I wanted to show you, there's the half cock notch, and you can see there's full cock. You see just that trigger just going to pull, that's going to release, that's going to fire the gun. When we go back to that safety, you can see how just about captures that trigger. That trigger won't move. That's on half cock. There's our safety, and it's really captured here with that sear. And as we go to full cock, you can see it's barely concealed. We pull that trigger and the whole thing would fire. There we go. But we can lube this up, clean it, and we'll put it all back together. So this is going to stay fairly clean, and the business end is going to be up here in the receiver. We can see the amount of dirt we're getting out of there. So I can just take my pick. I can pick out all that carbon deposits. We can clean that up pretty well. And what I'll do is I'll do this in grade. I'm not going to show you all this on camera, but you're going to want to clean there. But also now we have access to the barrel, and we want to clean the bore. We can do it here from the breech end, so you can clean the bore of this like you normally would, just running a. You could run your snake through there. You can run your cleaning rod through there, but do it through the bore, and that way we won't damage the crown of the barrel. All right. So once we got it all cleaned up, we've got our bolt. Here's our bolt face. What I like to do is just take, this is a little stiffer than a toothbrush, and just clean that bolt face. That tends to get pretty dirty. There's the track here where that firing pin runs, and we'll see this here. We'll show you how this works. So when it's cocked, that firing pin's going to stick way out here, and it's going to be struck by the hammer, and it's going to push up, and we'll see how that gets pushed up, where that's going to strike. That's going to be our firing pin. That's going to hit the rim of that 22 round. So there we get pushed up by the hammer, and it'd strike, and the gun would fire. So this could be lubed up so it free floats. Ooh, again, another big chunk of carbon there came out of there. So this is the dirty end. We clean our firing pin face. And I'm not doing a detail cleaning because I'm just showing this here for the camera. I would normally do a complete assembly and take mineral spirits, and I would clean all this up. But you don't want to see all that. All right, so we have our firing pin in. We want to put our bolt back. We're gonna have to release that. I'll just use a screwdriver. We'll push down that ejector. That's the same screwdriver I just turned. I can't use the same screwdriver for two operations. So I'll take this screwdriver. I'm just going to push down that ejector, and I'll just release this screw. Turn that 90 degrees back. It went too far. There we go, and there's our ejector now. That's spring loaded. All right, so we're going to go put this back together, and after you'd clean all this up, you know, there's quite a bit of oil and grease and whatever's all put in there. We're going to go put our bolt back. We lay it in there. Move this forward again. Remember, we talked about that it is going to be under some spring pressure. There's that ejector. There's also a small leaf spring up here at the front that's going to push on it. So we'll have to kind of manually seat that back all the way home. I'm going to change the orientation here because it's easier for me to just assemble from this side. So once I got that bolt back in place, push it all the way forward, and I'm going to hold it there with my thumb while I take this receiver, or the lever part. You see there's that little tab, looks like maybe like a half a moon or a quarter of a moon. That's going to get pushed into the front part of that receiver, and this thing's going to get laid down. There we go. Like I said, it's going to be much easier for me to do this. All right, we got that bolt all the way forward. Just going to push that in and put the two pieces together. All right. This will just thread together. And you don't need to really torque this thing down. I'm just doing just kind of a finger type, not really cranking on it. But now we've got it all put back together. I like to look at these two mating surfaces. If they're smooth, I know it went back together really well. If I lever that, and you don't dry fire your 22, but there we go. Let that hammer down. And we see that, remember that firing pin sticking out? It's going to get struck by that hammer. That's what was driving that rim fire. So we got it all put back together. So that would be about as far as you want to go for a cleaning. If we're going to do a major overhaul, we do a much deeper clean and be a much longer video. But there you go, that Model 39A, that Marlin, super accurate, fun to shoot gun. I got my old Ted Williams scope on there. Ready to go to the range now.